The purpose of this podcast is just to kind of talk a little bit about recruiting and the process and kind of your all's journey. And then at the end, like I said, we'll, have you all share some advice or, best practices or tips for the recruiting process to share with, obviously the incoming senior class or juniors and kind of all the way down the line. So Kylan, you've never done this before. Why don't you start and introduce yourself?
Okay, well, I'm Kylan Terrelon. Gonna go to college. 18, been playing for Bridge since I was in the fourth grade. So,
All right, Daniela.
My name is Daniela Quiroga. I'm a senior at Miguel, and I've been playing for Bridge since eighth grade.
Kylan, since you're the one closest to getting to school in a few days, go through let's start with when you wanted to play college lacrosse, like when it kind of hit you that this is something that you really want to pursue.
well, I think probably going into my junior year, I had to make the decision if I wanted to go with football or lacrosse. And I think I kind of knew it was leaning towards lacrosse. So I needed to start having that conversation, what steps in order to, get tape out, start talking to coaches and stuff, start getting recruited and, early than trying to wait till the last minute so it won't be as hard. So, obviously I had to have that conversation with you, all the colleges I was interested in, which ones had my major, which ones would I fit into, the type of college I wanted to go to, all just specific stuff to just find the perfect college for me.
What was your process like on the football side? Like, when you were, obviously you played all through high school. What was it about football you're like, this may not be for me from a college standpoint?
I didn't really get started until my senior year. I had a lot of good people in front of me, and then just thinking about it, just my senior year, it was just you know, um, this is something I loved for a long time, but I'm not gonna try to push myself to try to go somewhere where I don't feel like I can do it when I know I have better options. So I just felt like with lacrosse I would have more options and I would have a better chance of making it somewhere.
Yeah. And then Daniela, what about you? When did it hit you that this is maybe something you wanted to pursue?
I think it was at the end of sophomore year, maybe. I don't know, but I know when I first, after my first season, I did not think, never in a million years that I think I was gonna be in this process, just because I would compare myself to JJ or Peyton, and they're so good, and I was like, I can't play college lacrosse if I'm not that good. So I was like, yeah, this is not gonna happen. But then I remember having a conversation with you, and that just changed everything. And then I worked on some things, and I got better.
Obviously it's easy to compare yourself to other players. What was it about your game that you were like, this may not be for me to go to the next level?
I don't feel like I was scoring as many goals as I did this past season, the previous season.
Yeah, because you had
Um,
20 goals, 18, 20 goals this year?
I had 23, I
23?
think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you had a lot.
yeah. And I never went past two goals every other game before junior season. So yeah, I kind of just whenever it hit me I want to play in college, which is when we talked, I was kind of I need to do more to get my stats up, and then it just happened. But yeah,
When you were putting in that work then you obviously made a big jump from sophomore to junior year. Was some of that work you were doing on your own, was that kind of in the back of your mind, I'm working towards maybe playing in college, or you just were like, I want to be a better lacrosse player in general?
I just wanted to be better,
Yeah.
in general. And also, I wasn't because of COVID, I started working out more, so that helped. And I had a lot more time in my hands, so I was like, I might as well just be better since we didn't have a full season.
Yeah.
So
And then Kylan, with you then kind of working on your skill set, getting better, realizing you wanted to maybe not focus more on lacrosse, but that was going to be your end goal. What were the things you were doing to get better? And okay, if this is something I'm going to do, what are the things that you wanted to put in to get there?
Well, really, the first thing during COVID, I gained a lot of weight. So I had to really get used to this new weight, being more built than I was the year before, and then after that, I looked at my past film and I saw what I really needed to work on most. than most of the stuff I was already working on, and that's what I tried to work on better, like going to my left better and just perfecting this little stuff, so I'm a better all around player than
Yeah.
just like a defensive player. I can do more.
With the film stuff, what is it you were seeing that you were like, this is the stuff I need to polish? Because you and I have talked about this, right? Like your game film, and this isn't a bad thing. It's boring because like you have such strong footwork that like attackmen aren't getting by you because your footwork is so strong that they never really even have a chance. And so what is it you were looking at from film perspective that you're like, this is what I need to polish?
Really what I looked at is I know I can stay in front of them, but I also need to work on, keeping my stick on their hand so, they don't shoot around me, because I was always used to, if I just stay in front of them, they're just not going to shoot around me. But then when you let me and Josiah play with Highland Park and we played ESB, and I went versus this kid named Duke. Well, I forgot where Kevon said he was going, and I was staying in front of him the whole time, and it looked good. But then all he would do is shoot around me and make.
Wait, was this Landon?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that kid is.
Yeah, that's where I kind of figured out that just being in front of somebody isn't going to really do anything. I'm gonna have to be more aggressive as a defenseman and stay on their hands so they can't shoot.
Yeah, and then Daniela, same question. Like, what is it about your game film you were like, when you were going through it, that you were like, I need to work on this or that?
Honestly, like watching my own game film, it's always been like my like athletic level because that's always been my problem. But I watched more like college game film than like my own game film. Like I don't know if that's a bad thing, but like that's how
No.
I learned how to do like a roll dodge or like I just watched that and I was like, I don't really take 1v1s as often compared to like college games. So then that's when I started doing it more often. And I just like stuck to like a roll dodge.
You're like more of like a cutting like attacker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's when I realized I was like, I just wait for the ball to be passed to me instead of like trying to take 1v1s. So that's what I got out of like film overall, like in general.
Yeah, I gotcha. All right, Kylan, tell us where you're going.
Okay. Okay.
You got to pronounce you got to pronounce it correctly though, or just go ahead.
Rensselaer Polytech Institute in Troy, New York.
Kylan, walk us through like your trip to New York and just the schools you visited and what you learned from the area, what you're excited about with RPI, but then also like your trip to RIT.
Okay, so I visited RPI and RIT. RIT was in Rochester and RPI was in Troy. Pretty much when I got there, the thing I looked for most is I wanted to feel comfortable because I'm super far away from Texas. So being super far away, the most important thing to me was feeling like, I'm not going to miss home too much. I'm going to be okay with where I'm at. So, and I felt good in both places. And also, I looked around the city just trying to look for like, things I can do outside of campus.
Mm-hmm.
If I would enjoy myself outside of campus, if it was just if it was this an exciting place for me, because that's what I also look for. I want to, not feel bored all the time. Know that there's stuff to do around outside of campus as well.
What were some of the big differences between the two campuses?
RIT was more of a younger crowd. I can tell the city was a little more alive than Troy. Troy was like, it was kind of like an old people place. Like, in the town you see it was stuff to do outside of Troy. So that's why I was still okay with RPI, because they have cities that even the coach told me about that players go to around like Albany and stuff, where it's a bunch of stuff to do.
Is Albany bigger than Rochester?
I think it is. I think Albany is bigger than Rochester.
Yeah. So you get to RPI, you do RPI first and then RIT, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What about tell us about, because those are both, obviously incredibly strong engineering schools, which is what you want to study. Did you get a chance to get a sense of the academics of each school and how they compared?
Yes. No, I got a little more in depth with RIT than RPI, because when I was at RPI during the time they were on lockdown.
Oh, right.
But I got I got in depth of what I would be expecting with my classes and stuff, like if it was because what was also important with me is that my best way of learning is if I'm doing something, I like to be interactive than just seeing
Mhm.
stuff. So, and both colleges really offered that. They said they're both really hands on with their learning, especially in the engineering field. So that was the most important thing for me looking into my major part.
Yeah. And then when you were talking with like the coaches, then from this is good, we'll go kind of from academics to the lacrosse side. Like, what were the things that stood out to you between the two teams and the programs?
Um, Pretty much what stood out to me is when I got to RPI, Coach Scott he was ecstatic to see me. He was really excited to see me, and he he talked to me like for a long time. I could tell he really was interested in what I was talking to him about, and he wanted me to continue communicating with him. He always asked how I was doing, asked how my mom was doing. He just I could tell he wanted me to be there. And then I knew for when I got to RIT, it was kind of different because I could tell it was like the coach. He was like, you could come here, but I don't. You might not start till your junior year. And they were getting all these D1 recruits that were transferring there.
Right.
It was just like, I felt more wanted at RPI, and then I wanted to play. Like I would be okay with winning a championship, but then if I'm not playing and I'm
Yeah.
not involved with it, then it's just not going to feel so I just wanted to play. So that's why RPI was just, I felt like that was just the choice for me.
Do you feel like you have a good shot at earning a starting job then?
Yes,
Do you?
yes, I feel
That's
like
awesome. That's huge. Yeah, I think with a program, RIT just won a national championship. They've got a roster that's, like you said, full of transfers. Like playing time and getting that spot would be maybe not more challenging, but there's probably a deeper defensive kind of depth there.
yeah.
Daniela, so let's see, you got back when? Like we flew you out there, what, a month ago, 2 months ago, 6 weeks ago? I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Tell us about the three schools and your trip overall. Cause you had your trip was kind of wild and like
Yeah.
trying to get you to Albany's not like the easiest place to get to necessarily, or it's not like the most like inexpensive place to fly into. So like walk us through your whole trip.
Okay, so we flew into New York City, and then we got there. We took the Amtrak from New York City to Albany, and then that was like a 2 hour drive, but it felt like it was like double the time. Like it felt so long on there. And then we got to Albany. From Albany, we had to take an Uber that was like five. It was like short. It was like max 10 minutes to the hotel. And then we didn't do anything that night. Like we just had pizza, and it was New York pizza is like it's so big. Not New York pizza, but like
It's
why is it
delicious.
so big?
Just like a slice of pizza is like
Yeah,
massive,
like I
right?
had one slice and that's it, and I was like, I'm so full. But then on Saturday, or the next day, I don't really remember. It was Saturday, yeah. We went to Skidmore in the morning. Was it Skidmore? I don't really remember.
Yeah, it's all right.
But we did like Skidmore first, I think, and that I completely fell in love with Skidmore. Like I love that school so much. And it's the one school that I got a shirt from because it's the one school that was letting us go to the store.
Oh, right.
Um, so I love that school. I like the environment because it's in Saratoga Springs, which we drove there. It was like an hour maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's kind of like Texas because like the city isn't that far, but then it's kind of like there's like houses around it, if that makes any sense. It's kind of like Texas
It's
in
kind of
a
like a
way.
suburban kind of
Yeah,
city.
like it's not like a big city because when we
Yeah.
got to New York City, I was kind of like super anxious.
Well,
Like that's
you'd never been through like Manhattan, have you?
no,
Yeah.
but there were so many people and like people yelling, and I was like, I didn't think it was gonna be that chaotic. Um, so I liked Skidmore, and then we visited Union that same day, and Union, it's a great school, but it didn't feel like a liberal arts school. Like they talked a lot about STEM, and we went through like the STEM areas, and they were like, "Oh, we build robots here and stuff like that." And I was like, "This is not. It's not gonna work out." And then the area that it's in is kind of like Deep Ellum, but then a university in the middle, or a college, I
What
mean.
do you mean it's like deep down, kind of funky and like
Yeah, like
artsy
there was
and
bars and like places like that around, like literally right outside the school. So like we went to this restaurant and there was like and everywhere, and then the school's like 3 minutes from there. Um, so that was like my least favorite school. And then Bard, we drove, it was far too. Um, we drove to Bard, and that one is just like that's it. Like there's nothing but the school, which I already knew, and it kind of feels like you're like in a forest. I'm not even gonna lie. Like there's just nothing but trees. And then the school is like super super big.
Oh, is it
But
really?
yeah, it's like
I
huge,
didn't know
like
that.
really far. I mean, really big. But I got there and I really like the coaches. Like I love them so much. They like he was saying, they really like they were really excited to see me. Like they really wanted to like show me the campus. They were telling me about the team, and then the person who gave the tour was a defender on the team. So like I got to talk to her about some stuff, and then we toured the campus. We went back inside and we got to talk about like how to get into Bard, the stuff I need to do to like apply, how I can apply because there's like 5 different ways. And then after that, I got like a private tour of like other buildings that we didn't see like on the regular tour from like by the coaches, and they took me to like back of the school kind of, and then they talked to me about like when I need to tell them if I want to come to Bard, some tips that I should like take so I can get into Bard and like actually go there.
Yeah, because you haven't applied yet to anyone.
Yeah, so they were like, you should do this, like X, Y, and Z to get in. And then they talked to my mom, and like my mom loved them so much.
Good.
She like really wants me to go there. And then after that, that was pretty much it. Like those are the 3 schools that I visited. So yeah,
Yeah, and there's another one that's we're talking to, right?
yeah, Clarkson.
Yeah, which is a little farther north. Couldn't get you there. You all both understand that upstate New York is really cold in the winter, right? Like, are you all ready for that?
Yeah, I mean it's not
I mean,
that cold.
I, you all say that like parts of like New York in the winter are miserable. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
I mean Rochester gets it worse than Troy. So
Yeah, for sure. Like Rochester. I mean, Rochester is basically like Canada.
yeah, because I remember when I was leaving Rochester, it started like snowing really bad, like
Yeah.
right when I was leaving.
Colin, what are you most excited about for RPI?
Really just moving on campus. I've been really excited seeing all my friends move in and stuff to their campuses and stuff. That's what I'm just most excited about. I want to get, and I also want to get all my equipment and stuff. Get all that.
Oh yeah, you get some. Wait, okay, so you got walk us through like what you get when you get on campus.
So basically, we get a bunch of practice clothes. Like they give us a bunch. They give us turf shoes, give us running shoes. It's just a bunch of stuff they give us. It's like it's crazy. I never experienced that before. So yeah, it's exciting.
Whose phone is that?
That's mine.
Oh, okay.
My sister's calling. It's her baby shower.
Wait, are you missing your sister's baby shower right now?
No, I'm answering the phone. It's gonna be double time. Multitasking.
I gotcha. Daniela, what do you, so you haven't decided, obviously, you're still kind of through the process. What is it about, like, what's kind of like on your to-do list now? Like, what are your next steps, or in terms of like making a decision? Are there other schools you want to look at? You know, what are you thinking about in terms of like what to do next?
I don't really know. I should know, but I don't know. I don't know. Like right now, I have a feeling that like I won't play in college just because kind of like my academics aren't us what is it called, aligning with like the lacrosse part,
Right.
which is completely okay. Like I'm perfectly okay not playing college, but yeah, like I've been looking at more schools. There's just not, it's not working out.
What about Bard then? I mean, what is it about Bard that's like not matching for you, you think? And you don't have to share. We don't have to share it because part of this, like, you know, like you're still kind of going through the process too.
No, it's fine. I'm scared that like if I go to Bard, I won't have something to like fall back on because its emphasis is like on art and music.
Okay.
And they don't really have like, I don't want to say liberal arts because they are liberal arts school, but like the type of work I want to do, they don't have that.
Oh, they don't. I didn't know that.
But they have my major though.
Okay, but you're looking for something like a little bit more robust around what you want to study.
Yeah.
What is it, and what is it you want to study then?
I want to be like, I want to do a human rights program with the public policy track or political science track.
Okay, gotcha. And then Kylan, walk us through your major and kind of how you got there and what's, you know, why engineering?
At first I was gonna go for chemical engineering, but
Oh,
I,
couldn't.
it was
Oh my
just, it was
God.
so,
Dude, Chem E is so hard. That is,
yeah.
oh
'Cause I
man.
wanted to be like a petroleum engineer, but then there were so many more that I was interested in. I'm going undeclared
Okay.
so I can, just really get a basis because there's a bunch of engineering forms where you're like doing stuff, and then there's a bunch where you're just really talking about stuff and just designing stuff. And, I just want to be the person that's, doing it,
Yeah.
like just being hands on. So I just want to, discover the different types and stuff.
Are there a couple that like aren't for you then?
Um, yeah, like mechanical, I thought mechanical was more hands-on, but mechanical kind of is like more talkative.
Oh,
Which I
interesting.
learned from a class that I had this year. I had a mechanical engineering class, and so that's just something that kind of crossed off the board because
Okay.
it's just boring to me. I don't like talking.
I gotcha. So, okay, what about like aerospace then? Go build planes and fly the
Yeah,
shuttle?
I also looked at that because that's what my brother is in the Navy for, trying to get his degree at for
Okay.
aerospace engineering as well, and to make like bombs and stuff. But I was also looking at that because yeah, it's interesting. It's a lot of more fields. Every time I look, there's just another field that I'm
Yeah.
interested in.
The type of lacrosse that is in college, like what would be some of your concerns or like adjustments you need to make playing college ball?
I think
Uh,
the pace,
The pace, yeah.
like, okay, like we can obviously there isn't a shot clock right now, like in high school, so like we can take our time and there's like no worries. Like take your time. Coach Matty always says like take your time and like work on getting to goal. But like in college, it's kind of like you have to do it right there and then, or like do it as quick as possible because there's a shot clock. And I also heard it was gonna go down to 60 seconds.
What is it? I can't remember what it is now.
It's 90.
It's 90. Okay.
Yeah,
You're not a slow player though. Like when you catch the ball, you're generally cutting towards goal. Like you don't hang on to the ball that often though.
that's true.
I mean, yeah, it definitely increases in college, but you're also not like a player who's just kind of like waiting it out either though.
Yeah.
Kyle, what about you?
for me, the speed of offenses. I mean, one thing that I worked on this past year was my eyes, because one thing that I struggled with last year is, somebody cuts and it's 5 man, and I'm not paying attention because I'm looking at somebody that's running down and then they score. So that's one thing I paid attention to this year, just keeping my eyes on a swivel and having my, my base where I could look at the guy with the ball and also look at my man and
Yeah.
also look at people who are cutting. And another thing that I really need to work on is, communicating. One thing at RPI that Coach Scott emphasized was he likes his defense to really communicate
Yeah.
with each other and let each other know. Which this year I did it sometimes, but then I didn't always do it, and that's something I really need to work on.
Yeah. Have you talked to Kevon about some of his experiences so far at Harvard?
Yes, I have.
It's like for real lacrosse, he said.
Yeah,
He's like, this is
one of
big.
his roommates is shooting 110.
Oh, jeez. Are you serious?
Yeah, his roommate shoots 110. He said
That's
it's gonna get intense there, really.
yeah. I think that's like a big thing is like that jump. Like we talk a lot about the jump from like 8th grade to 9th grade within Bridge. Like it's kind of steep, because middle school lacrosse is just it's fun and you guys hang out and it's more about like just still kind of learning the sport. And then you get dropped off at like varsity tryouts and it's a leap. That leap from senior year lacrosse to college freshman lacrosse is massive. Daniela, with you then, your track then through Bridge has been, or through lacrosse rather, has just been through Bridge. You don't regret not trying out or like playing a select or competitive program then? Because I think we tried to push you
Yeah.
a little bit, which is fine that you didn't, but you've enjoyed your lacrosse experience like just through Bridge then.
Yeah, I think a lot of it had to do with like being scared also because I know I went to what is it called? Dallas Likes Hangout,
Oh right,
and it was like I wanted to go home like the first day.
you did really well though.
You think so? I don't think I
Yeah, I
did.
was there. I watched because it was like you, JJ. It was like Katie,
Susie,
Kenya, Susie, and I think maybe like one or two other girls. And you all
yeah.
did really well.
I don't think I did well, but I think I
Whatever.
was just like so nervous to be around a lot of like white people.
That's fair. Colin, what about you? You didn't go the kind of select club route. I know you tried out and you played with like, you've done some camps and things like that. What is your experience like? Do you regret not trying out and doing like a more serious club route?
I regret it a little bit. I mean, I got some opportunities. I played with 3D, and then I played with Highland Park in one, and then I think I played with I think when me, Kevon, and Zay went to Midland with that Durant team from
Oh, that's
Oklahoma.
right.
So I've played in a few, but I do regret it because I wanted to, I kind of wanted to do select a couple of years, like probably my sophomore year. I wanted to get a little better at it because at the time I was a lot of things I was trying to work on. So I
Hmm.
wanted to go on a serious team, but then the thing was traveling and stuff, and then I was still doing football, and it was just going to interfere a lot. I think that was the main reason, was it interfering with other things.
Getting Bridge kids like to kind of cross that threshold to get on the club or select program, like that barrier is pretty high. What are some of the reasons from you and your teammates why it's just kind of a challenge, and why it's maybe more challenging with Bridge kids than anywhere else?
Um, I think probably with Bridge kids is because most kids that are playing for Bridge, they most likely play another sport.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know probably almost all of us on this past year team, we all played another sport, and that was
Did you?
yeah. I think
Okay.
Kevon played basketball, Zay played basketball,
That's right. I forgot about that. I forgot they played basketball.
Liam played football, and that was just a thing. That was a thing because the big thing for me, it was just like, I knew I wasn't probably going to play football in college, but I wanted to play it my senior year because
Yeah.
I've been playing it so long, I just couldn't like stop. And I think that was a lot of things for other people. So we had like a bunch of other commitments where at other schools they probably play lacrosse or play another sport, but there's a balance because the school knows or the coaches know, so they try to keep a fairly good balance
Yeah.
between.
Danielle, what about on the Panther side then?
Honestly, I just think it's like confidence and like I don't think a lot of us can be like, oh yeah, like we're good enough to play for like grit or like other select clubs, but like you have to pay like a ton of money to play on.
Yeah,
And then also like a lot of girls, I mean a lot of my teammates don't want to play in college. So it's
that's
kind
fair.
of like why would I pay to get better when I'm not going to play in college?
Yeah, there is kind of that ultimate end goal to play in club and select. Is like you're kind of getting you want to get recruited, you want to go play, you at least want to like find out if you could play in college. um, Whether or not you do is obviously like, up to them and schools, but I think there is sort of that, I'm going to go do this because I want to do the research on playing in college, like at a D1, D2, or D3 level. Colin, what's because I don't know football as well on that side, but what's the scene like for club select on the football side other than like sevens? Is high school football, pretty much the primary route to get recruited then?
In Texas mainly, I
Yeah.
think I think basketball in Texas is starting to like get more popular. A lot of scouts are starting to come to Texas more for basketball as well. But like that's the main, like, because for football, the main states scouts go to is Texas, Florida, and California,
Mm-hmm.
because that's where all the big athletes come from. So yeah, it's like if you want to go to college, at any college and play football, if you're playing in Texas, you're most likely going to get an offer, no
Yeah.
matter what division you're in. If you're playing well, you're going to get an offer, and then
What's
7-7 makes it bigger.
What about what school did you have any coaches or schools reach out to you about football?
I did. I mean, I didn't have as much because I was injured most of the season,
Oh, right.
but I did have like D3 and D2 colleges, and then my coaches were talking to JUCOs
Okay.
as well for me at the time.
Yeah. Kylan, you step foot on campus on Tuesday. Do you have like a schedule of what your fall is going to look like?
I do not.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
I have my class schedule really right now. I know I have this like fall freshman thing that I know when I get on there, but we don't really have anything like practice wise set yet.
Yeah. Okay. So you're not quite to the point where you know what to expect in terms of like your day to day. Like Bridge is the thing I'm trying to get at is essentially is like your schedule and time management, right? So Bridge, we make it pretty easy to be involved with Bridge.
Yeah.
It's not 5-6 days a week of practice. Practices are a couple hours. We try to make it pretty convenient after school. With a pretty high level D3 team that you're jumping onto, like, you're probably going to be expected to, put in a lot more, like it's gonna be a bigger investment of time. Are you ready for that?
Yes, I think I'm ready. Right now they're trying to set practice times around a bunch of our schedules because our classes are really a bunch at different times because
Mm-hmm.
most of the incoming freshmen are like engineer majors. So some of our classes might be at 8:30, and then I have another class at like 8 o'clock at night. So we have to, but I think I'm ready. I think I have to really balance it. Kind of learn how to balance it, which I think I've been doing a good time of. But also, just being ready to take it more serious.
Yeah.
I can't slack around or anything.
Yeah. Like it's kind of easy to do that with Bridge, huh?
Yeah, it's I have to be more serious because if I want to play right away, I have to show them that I can.
Yeah. Well, I hope you're ready for that jump because I think we were joking, the coaches and I were joking about your last week of practice before the state final game was just like you guys goofing off for 2 hours. It wasn't actual practice to me. It was just like you guys like messing around, and it was fun. But you got to think about the Highland Park and the Jesuits. They're probably going pretty hard that week before the state game, and you guys are just kind of messing around the whole time. That is going to be a jump to not that you won't have fun or there'll be moments like that, but I think we might have been the only program that was just kind of switching sticks, and Liam would pick up a pole or someone would jump in goal for Kevon or just kind of messing around. Danielle, have you thought a lot about that, like the time management aspect of it and that jump from not even just from lacrosse standpoint, from just from like a school standpoint too? And what are you doing to prepare for your new schedule and adjusting?
I think I'll do fine. They call it overcommitting, like at Ringdale. I'm very involved in school. Like I'm in too many things at once. So
So I
like, and
shouldn't
I'm
add another
pretty,
day of practice then?
yeah, I'm down.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm just,
Yeah. So I think I'm pretty set. Like I'm organized. I'm on top of my things. And it kind of just comes with like getting used to it because I've just always done it since like freshman year. Always been in something, always had to do something right after school. And I've always like been able to like study and still get my work in. So I mean, it's obviously going to be a big change. It's like college, it's not like high school, but I don't think it should be too bad for me.
you're pretty confident. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. What is it about? Did you get a sense from the 3 schools then, like how you would just kind of fit in and, what you'd want to do outside of obviously academics and if you do choose to play lacrosse somewhere, what are some other things you're excited about in terms of like a college life?
I'm ready for the freedom. Like, it's not like I hate my mom or something, but I really like to be independent, which is why I want to like move out as soon as I graduate. And also I feel like if I'm alone and like by myself without like my mom and my brother, because I've always just had like my mom and my brother, like always, I think I'll grow into who I want to be and like learn more things and just discover life like if I move out.
Yeah. Is she
So
ready for you to move to New York?
no.
What?
Well, I didn't tell you this, but she was crying like the whole time.
Oh no. She doesn't want you to move halfway across the country, huh?
Yeah, she doesn't even want me to move to like other states that I have schools in. She's like, no, like you should just stay here. But even if I stay here, like I'm gonna move out.
You're not going to like down the street to go to college
Yeah,
then. I gotcha.
no.
Kind of, what about your mom? Like, is she ready for you to be out the door and again, halfway across the country?
Yeah, I think she's starting to, come around to it. She's kind of, I mean, I think since freshman year, I told her I wanted to go to a school outside of Texas. So
Yeah.
she saw this coming since freshman year. That's why I think during high school, she kind of gave me like time to try to, be independent so I can learn when I get down there. It's not fairly new to me. Like I can get used to it easily and, learn how to do things on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's prepared me for it.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. What are some important things for you as you jump into college ranks? What are some important things from like that you want from your coaches and like from the team?
Well, mostly, I just wanted a coach that I had from like the coaching staff I had this year. I think this was fairly one of the best coaching staffs I
Yeah.
ever had, because they came to me as a coach and as somebody I could talk to outside of lacrosse. They got very personal with you. They wanted to know stuff about you, and that's I want a coach that it's not all about lacrosse, but
Yeah.
about wanting to see you succeed in a way. And Coach Scott, I could tell he wanted to see me succeed outside of lacrosse. Also, graduate from RPI, and he wanted to know what forms of engineering I was doing and stuff. That's the type of coaches I like.
Yeah, that's cool. And then Danielle, you've had a chance to talk with a handful of coaches now. What are some things that stand out to you from like those conversations? You're like, oh, I like what this coach said, or like, I like the way this coach approached this or had this question. What are some of those things?
Um, Kind of like, so my favorite question to ask is like, what's their coaching philosophy? And I kind of just like always wait for them to respond for that. And I
That's
like,
like a hard question for some coaches
yeah.
too. Like, I don't even know if I have a coaching philosophy. I have like a bunch of cliches I'll throw out there, but
Oh
like,
God.
I don't know if it's like wrapped in a philosophy. Sorry, go ahead
Um,
though.
it's okay. I just want like a coach who's like excited to be there. I don't want like someone who's just like coaching just because they have the job. I really want someone who's like passionate about lacrosse and who's also gonna like be interested in me as a person, not just as a student or like a lacrosse player. Because like we're all human and we all have other things going on. And like if I understand that about like that coach, I want them to be able to understand that about me as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some things like what are some coaches like responses that are pretty meaningful to you?
So I remember the Clarkson coach said that every day before they start practice, or like they're already started practice, but when there's the girls are stretching, he goes around to each girl and he asks how their day went, or like what's something that stood out to you from your day,
Yeah.
and he'll like literally stand there and like have a short conversation with every single girl.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Should we do that in Bridge? Should I make all the coaches do that? I don't think we'd have time for that. Our practices are so short.
They really are
and
short.
half of you all arrive late anyway. So we've got this next class, the 22s, and the 23s obviously behind them. Cylan, what's some advice you might give to kids in Bridge who are, wanting to play at the next level, wanting to get recruited? What would you share with them?
I mean, I think pretty much the same thing coaches shared like in other sports. Like you don't have to go D1 to be considered a good lacrosse player or anything. Because at the end of especially in lacrosse, every division is really competitive, especially if you're playing at a high level school. Like I know my school, like they're D3, but they're like top 20, and then the top 20 D3 schools can play D1 schools. So it's
Oh,
like,
for sure.
yeah, it's like you're still playing the same thing. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what college accepts you regarding lacrosse, because you're still going to a college that wants you to play lacrosse there.
Yeah.
So you're still good enough to play lacrosse in college. So it doesn't really matter. You don't have to go to a big boy college, because that's what my whole mindset was junior year. Like, I want to talk to all the big schools. I need to go D1.
Yeah.
I'm not good at lacrosse. And then I figured it out. Like, I don't have to do that. I can go to any division, because I feel like I'm good enough to play lacrosse at any college at any level. So.
Yeah. That's a really mature,
Yeah.
like revelation.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of Texas kids necessarily think that. They all want to go play, like you said, like big kid lacrosse at the D1 level. And then, it doesn't work out, or maybe they get there and, they're not going to start. They're not going to get much playing time. It's a little bit of shock, right? Because, a Duke roster is filled with kids who were all like All-Americans and, all state point leaders and captains and things like that. Yeah. I know you were pretty bummed about not kind of getting the response from D1 coaches that you thought. And that being said, though, I think a lot of that is due in part because of COVID. Like we just couldn't get you to, the camps and the clinics that needed to see you in person. Because you did have some interest from D1 coaches. It just, if you can't leave your house to go see
Exactly.
them, it really kind of cut off some of those opportunities. But RPA, like you said, RPA is a top 20 program, incredible engineering school, which is obviously kind of the more important aspect, maybe
Exactly.
the academics.
Yeah.
I think that's really good that you said that, because I think there's still a lot of kids, even in Bridge, who are like, I'm going to Syracuse.
Yeah.
And the reality is,
That's,
you may not be going to Syracuse
that's
because
too hard to
you don't
go.
have a
Yeah.
you don't have a left hand, or I've seen you try to shoot and it's kind of rough. But yeah, Daniela, what about you? What's some advice? And I know you're obviously still in the process and still making decisions and things like that, but like, what would you share with kind of kids who are interested?
Honestly, just go to like a place that you're gonna be happy. Even if like you're not gonna play lacrosse, because at the end of the day, like school, I don't want to say like for some people lacrosse comes first and like school comes second. Like for me, school comes first. So like that's my number one thing. And also like what he was saying, you don't have to be. I think that was my issue. Like JJ was always like, I'm going D1, I'm going D1. Like I need to go D1. And for me it was like, oh my God, like if I don't go D1, I'm not good enough. Or like I can't play in college.
Yeah.
Um so like just going where you feel comfortable, not where like everyone else is telling you to go or like everyone is telling you you should go, because it's like your life. You're the one who's gonna play on the team, go to the school. So yeah,
Yeah, that's good advice. I think that's one thing that's really important is, if you didn't have lacrosse, would you still want to be at that
yeah.
school? And I think for some kids, they're maybe making decisions based a little bit more on lacrosse, which, that's obviously their decision. Are you ready for like, I know we were not, you and I were talking about this like a couple weeks ago, but like, are you ready for like New York culture?
I think I'm ready. It's gonna be different because for years, I mean, I think I'll get used to it because for years I had to figure out what some of my dad's family was saying since they're Jamaican. So I think
Okay.
figuring out what people in New York are saying is pretty much, but it's been hard though, anyways, because some of my teammates are like from Connecticut and Maryland,
All
and they
right.
have different way they use words. I was in the group chat and they were saying like, because I have that RPI that that long that blocks out the sun, that RPI hat, that big RPI hat, and I was like, we should all get this. And their word for like something being like hard or lit is nails, and they all started saying nails, and I was just confused, and I just had to leave the group chat. I was like,
That's funny. Yeah, I think yeah, it'll be fun to like have you on a team with like, non-Texans.
yeah,
Are there any Texas kids on the roster?
there are. I think there are about two. Like two of them are from Austin, and then the third one is from Arlington, I think.
Oh, from Arlington? Oh, okay, cool.
They're kind of
Uh,
spread out.
yeah. Daniela, what about you? Like, what is it about like New York, like upstate New York, that appeals to you?
So okay, so New York. So like I went and I came back and I was like, New York is overrated. Like that was literally my conclusion.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like a heavy opinion.
Yeah. I talked about it at school and they were like, "What? Like that's why are you saying that?" And I'm like, I didn't think like the city life was gonna be bad for me. Like I was like, "Oh, like I'm gonna enjoy it." But I was just anxious like the whole time. I had so much anxiety and I was like, "Can I really live here?" But then I was like, "I'm not gonna be in the city for
Yeah, it's
college."
like Manhattan is not
Yeah.
New York. Like, it's the city, but
Yeah.
it's not the rest of the state by any
I think the
means.
city's overrated.
Oof. All right. Well,
Might get hate for that.
you're probably. I listen. I love Manhattan. I think it's great. I'm planning on going up there next spring to go visit, and so whatever. I love the city, but like upstate New York's great. I love the state. It's beautiful. Obviously, like
Yeah.
in the fall. So let's wrap up with this. Kind of, why don't you kind of share with us one goal you have going into your first year of college? It can either be academic, lacrosse, whatever.
Really kind of, well, first of all, I want to start off the bat.
Yeah.
I want to work to start, but I think probably my biggest goal is I want to go into my first year, balance things out with academics, get used to, the workload, because my workload is going to be different from other people who are
Yeah.
going to different colleges. Because engineering is not an easy major, so
Engineering is no joke.
yeah,
Yeah.
I want to get used to it, and then after my first year during the summer, I want to do like some extra classes so I take a lot of load off when I go back to college. I want it to be easier as years come.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially going into your spring season when lacrosse like really takes off, you're going to want to have some nice time management skills and kind of some familiarity with your schedule and stuff like that. And then Daniela, kind of the same question as you go into your senior year of high school, what are some things that you want to accomplish?
I just want to get a full ride somewhere.
Okay.
That's really my goal. I like literally I have no type of like money to pay for college, so I really want to get a full ride, and I kind of just want to go. I want to find a school that can give me a full ride and that I'll be like really happy at
Yeah, that
doing
makes
what I want to
sense.
do. So yeah.
Free money for schools that's a good goal. All right, y'all. Well, why don't we wrap up? But I appreciate y'all jumping on and obviously like sharing. And I know Kylan, you've been bugging me to do this for a while. So I apologize. Like we're finally getting you on and you're, just 3 days away from college, but definitely like check in with us and stay connected. All right.
Oh yes, I will.
Yeah. And then Daniela, I guess we can just, at some point you're going to not take this over, like I said earlier, but
Yeah.
I want you to run an episode or two. So
Yep.
help get ready for the new senior class and the new season. Yeah. So I appreciate y'all.
Alrighty.